Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into something truly mind-boggling today, the staggering variety of life on Earth. I mean, from microscopic bacteria in the deep, dark ocean all the way to those towering giant redwoods, our planet is literally teeming with life. But with millions of living things out there, how do scientists actually make sense of it all? Let's get right into it.
Okay, first things first. Let's define our core concept here, biodiversity. We hear this word thrown around a lot, right? But at its most basic level, it just means the variety of organisms in a particular area. And this variety isn't just randomly scattered around. It heavily depends on specific environmental factors like climate, altitude, and soil type. Think about it. This is exactly why tropical regions, with their warm, stable climates and rich resources, are absolutely bustling with an incredible density of life. Polar regions, on the other hand, facing harsh, freezing conditions, well, they have much less biodiversity. It's all about where life can actually find a way to thrive.
So why should we care? I mean, beyond just having a beautiful, diverse planet to look at. Well, this variety is absolutely essential for our own survival. It's like a giant biological safety net. Take ecosystem stability, for instance. Biodiversity actively maintains the cycles, like the water, carbon, and nitrogen cycles, that keep our planet functioning. It regulates our climate, with plants and algae literally soaking up massive amounts of carbon dioxide. And on a super practical, everyday level, we rely on this wild web of life for our food, our medicine, and it drives massive economic benefits across agriculture, tourism, and huge industries like pharmaceuticals. Simply put, we need it to survive.
In fact, this global variety is so incredibly crucial to the health of the planet and humanity that the United Nations actually gave it its own dedicated day. Yep, May 22nd is officially International Biodiversity Day. It's an entire day dedicated solely to promoting and protecting this fragile web of life. It serves as this annual global wake-up call, reminding us that we absolutely cannot afford to take our planet's biological wealth for granted.
But here is the kicker. With life sprawling across every corner of the globe in millions of different forms, how do we even keep track of it all without descending into total chaos? Imagine walking into a massive library, but millions of books are just dumped into a giant pile right in the middle of the floor. How do you find what you need? How do you even know what's there? Well, biologists face that exact same headache, just on a planetary scale.
To put the sheer size of this challenge into perspective, 2 million. That is the number of organisms biologists have already identified, named, and classified. Nearly 2 million distinct living things. Just think about the sheer amount of research, careful observation, and painstaking cataloging that goes into confirming that many species. It's honestly a monumental achievement of human science.
Now, if we slice up that massive 2 million pie, you'll see it leans really heavily toward the animal kingdom, making up about 1.5 million of those known species, while plants account for roughly 500,000. But here's the craziest part. Scientists estimate this is still just a tiny fraction of the total kinds of organisms actually living on Earth right now. The vast majority of life is still out there, completely unknown to us.
And because we're discovering thousands of new organisms every single year, biologists face this overwhelming, non-stop challenge to keep everything organized. Every time a new insect pops up in the Amazon, or some strange microscopic algae gets pulled from a deep-sea event, it needs a proper home in the scientific record. You can't just toss it in a drawer and forget about it. It has to be rigorously categorized.
Enter the solution, classification. This is essentially biology's ultimate filing system. Fundamentally, classification is the method biologists use to divide organisms into groups and subgroups based on their similarities. It's the master strategy we use to bring order to the biological chaos. By grouping things that share common traits together, we can actually start to make sense of this overwhelming variety of life.
So, if we look directly at the textbook definition, what are biologists actually trying to achieve here? Well, the main aims are twofold. First, they want to pinpoint similarities and differences so organisms can actually be studied easily. I mean, if you find a new creature and figure out it's a bird, boom, you instantly know a ton about its biology without having to start from scratch. Second, and this is super important, classification aims to map out the evolutionary relationships among organisms. It helps us draw out the massive family tree of all life on Earth.
Now, the way we classify has evolved dramatically too. Back in the day, scientists relied entirely on physical characteristics. They grouped organisms based on similar visible structures, asking things like, does it have wings? Does it have fur? How many legs are we looking at? But recently, science has taken a massive leap forward. With genetics, we can now look past the surface and peer directly into the very DNA of an organism. Now, biologists can use genetic similarities and differences to uncover deep structural and functional links that the naked eye would completely miss. Grouping life this way, it's a total game changer. It gives us this incredibly powerful framework. Not only does it help us easily identify and study new species, but it explains how they all interrelate and reveals their deep evolutionary history. Plus, beyond just mapping history, it creates a powerful common language. Whether a scientist is working in a lab in Tokyo, a rainforest in Brazil, or a classroom in London, classification ensures they all know exactly what organism they're talking about, with zero language barriers getting in the way.
Bringing it all full circle, this whole meticulous system of classification is exactly what allows us to conserve the biodiversity we started talking about. As this quote perfectly summarizes, classification is absolutely crucial for the conservation and management of biological diversity. It makes complete sense, right? You cannot protect what you do not understand, and you certainly can't manage what you haven't even identified. Classification is the fundamental tool that makes conservation possible.
So, to wrap up our explainer today, I want to leave you with a final thought to chew on. We know about 2 million species, sure, but we know there are millions more waiting to be found. As our universal language of classification keeps evolving, especially with all these advancements in genetics, what strange, spectacular, undiscovered life forms might be waiting out there in the unclassified shadows of our planet? And when we finally do find them, how might they completely challenge everything we currently think we know about the web of life? Think about that for a bit. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and thanks for learning with me today.